Hello, this is Darren.
And this is Paige.
And this is
Where's the Lemonade?
Where we talk about what happens when life throws you lemons.
Make some lemonade?
Maybe. Some weeks it's lemon squares.
Yeah, some weeks it's just lemons.
Today's episode.
We're going to talk about the importance of girls' trips.
And what does guys do when you grow them gone?
Lots of fun with the kids.
Lots of fun. So when we first started talking about doing this girls trip episode, I decided to do some research on girls trips. How long have they been going on? Because I don't remember my mom doing girls trips very often.
My mom didn't really even have friends, so I didn't grow up seeing that either.
Yeah, so I actually did some research, and it was not until 1993 that they really started calling them girls trips. Before, you just get together with your girlfriends and do some things. But in 1993, the travel industry actually started seeing a trend in women going off together to do something on a trip somewhere. So that was quite interesting. And then they started marketing towards women.
I was going to say, they named it something so they could market for it, right?
They absolutely did. And from 1993 to 2008, girls' trips went up 230%.
Ooh.
Yeah.
People started hearing that term and went, ooh, that sounds like fun.
Why am I not going on a girls' trip? Right? So that's kind of what happened. And then it, again, quadrupled from 2008 to 2019.
I believe that because now it's all girl power. I can do what I want, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
In fact, they did a survey and said 25% of adult women have taken a girls' trip in the last 3 years.
How many percent?
25%.
Okay.
That's quite a bit.
That is quite a bit.
And then they're estimating 50% women, when they're asked, said they plan on going on a girls' trip over the next 3 years.
I think a lot of people plan on, I've talked to a lot of my friends here where we live.
So about half actually go through with it?
Yeah, we talk about it all the time, but if you don't put something on the calendar,
it doesn't happen.
It just doesn't happen because everybody's lives are so busy. So.
Now, this is even true with your friends. You've been going on these girl trips for
15 years.
15 years, right?
Yeah.
And you missed out 1 year because you guys didn't plan it.
And then life happened.
And then life happened.
One of our kids got married. Someone had a baby. But, you have to just nail it down or it doesn't happen.
So tell me about your girls' trips. Let's go over that. How did it get started? With these friends, right?
Oh, with these friends? Because I was saying before these friends, I went on a couple of girls' trips to Education Week, which is what we talked about last week. I'd gone to Education Week with some friends a couple of years in a row.
Or women's conference, right?
Yes, or women's conference when my kids were really little. Which I think it's almost more important to get away on girls' trips then, but it's also harder to get away on girls' trips when your kids are little.
It is, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But let's go back to...
But yeah, so I'd gone on girls' trips with some friends, and then I've gone on girls' trips with my mom and my sisters. So it's something I've kind of always done, not on a regular basis though. And then, I met these two friends, Jill and Eileen, in Texas. We all lived there together. Only for a year, we all lived by each other.
Wow, I thought it was longer than that.
No, we only lived together for a year. And then I moved, and then a year later, Eileen moved. And
well, you guys were married, had kids, the whole thing.
Yep.
Right?
Yep, yeah.
When
so we all had our own families. And so it started with Eileen's husband wanted us to surprise Eileen for her birthday and take her away for the weekend. We went to San Antonio because we lived in southern Texas, and we were like, this is going to be super fun. And he was willing to pay for everything. And so we were on board, and it was a blast. It was so much fun. I'd never been on a girls' trip where someone else was picking up the tab. So that was nice to not have to take that money away from my family. And that's a little bit harder when you go, okay, we've got a budget for my girls' trip. That gets a little trickier when money's tight, when your kids are little.
Tight. That can be hard.
That you feel very selfish to go, okay, I want to go on this girls' trip and it's going to cost X amount of dollars. So I appreciated that Eileen's husband recognized that and said, I want you to go do this. I'm going to pay for everything.
Right. Well, and you made a very interesting point. You can't go below the budget. That was another interesting thing that they said. Men will save for a trip, women will expense it.
Oh, that's interesting.
I thought, whoa, really? And the numbers, these are generalities, but the numbers were like 70% women would expense a trip, and like 80% men would save up for a trip.
Interesting.
So
that's very interesting.
That tells you how important getting away can be.
Yeah, that's interesting. But yeah, when we got back from our first girls trip, we had such a great time. Todd, Eileen's husband, said, we're going to keep doing this every year. This is going to be a thing for Eileen's birthday every year.
Todd, you devil, man. You found an easy way to give your wife a birthday present every year.
Yeah. I think he gives her a little more now.
Yeah, but I see what's going on here.
Yeah. He's like, done every year, done. But no, it was, we had such a great time. And then I think the next year, I can't remember, we tried to remember all of our trips, but I think the next year we also went to San Antonio. I could be wrong about that. But anyway, and then it's just kept on.
It just kept going. And you guys have gone all over the United States and sometimes far
away. We went to Jamaica once. That was out of the country. And then we went to St. Thomas once. Those are probably the furthest we've gone. But all the rest have been, in the United States.
Close, like San Francisco,
yep.
Right?
Yep. We had to go to San Francisco because I had just had a baby. I had just had Sam. And we still wanted to do the girls' trip, but I couldn't be too far away. And yeah, so that's why we went to San Francisco.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
No, and you mentioned earlier, you have to be careful not to break the bank. So it's not actually where you go, it's just that you're going, right?
It's so true. And every year that we try and decide where we're going to go for our girls' trip, we end up always saying, it doesn't matter where we go. It matters. It's just, we have so much fun together. It really doesn't matter. We do the same things no matter where we go. We have a spa day, we have a shopping day, and we have like a, tourism day wherever we are. We take tours and stuff.
And it's so stereotypical. After reading this research, you guys would do exactly what every girls' trip is.
It's what girls want to do. Girls want to go to the spa. Girls want to shop and take in some sights. Yeah, that's what we want to do. And just be together. In fact, this last girls' trip was in Utah. I mean, how exciting is that? I know everybody's jealous right now. But we decided, because we stayed at Eileen's house this time, and we all had our own bedroom and our own bathroom, and we decided that we don't like that, because when we're all in a hotel room, we all, we're falling asleep talking, and we get ready together. And this time we were a little more segregated, and we like when we're together.
You like being together.
Yeah.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah. So, but yeah, this is 15 years we've been doing this, because we went to San Francisco when Sam was a baby. Sam is almost 14, so I think that was our second or third girls trip, second maybe. Anyway, but yeah, so we've been going strong a long time, and they're my dear friends that I just love getting together. And we don't stay in contact a ton during the year. It's not like we call each other once a week.
That's what I find fascinating. I mean, it's like, it's been a year, and you guys have a whole year of catching up.
Yeah, we get back together, and it's like we never missed a beat. It's not, it's not like, this is awkward.
And they still act like they're in their 20-somethings.
Well, thank you very much. I'm going to take that as a compliment.
That is a compliment. I hear it, because when you call me sometimes at night, I hear the
giggling
and the goofing.
It is, and that's what we love about it. And that's what Todd loved about it. He loves to hear his wife laugh. If you ask Todd that, Todd loves to. So he'll do what he can do to get her to laugh. And so that's why when he sees her with her friends, he just loves that. And so he's like, let's get them together. Let's, get them laughing. So yeah, but our girls' trips have almost always been the same formula. Not a whole lot. No matter where we go, it's the same formula.
That's exactly what they're marketing to today. I mean, all the research has showed that's what women want to do. They stay up late until 2 a.m. talking and doing each other's hair. I don't know. We
don't do each other's hair. Of course, for a very long time. I don't know how many people listen to this podcast, but I wore a wig for many, many years because my hair was falling out. I still have a really big bald spot. That's why you'll see my hair strategically placed up in buns and things. But I gave up on wearing a wig because it was just too hot and scratchy. Yeah, we've never really done each other's hair. And I know a lot of people on girls' trips, it's all about the drinking. We don't drink.
Right.
So we did the one time that we went, was it St. Thomas?
The one time?
St. Thomas, we drank about 8 pina coladas a day, virgin pina coladas.
Okay. I was going to say, honey.
I think we all gained at least 5 pounds because they were the most amazing pina coladas. But yeah, that's about as exciting as we get, is a virgin pina colada. So yeah, you don't have to worry about us getting all woo.
All right, so let's talk about the purpose of girls' trips. We've kind of alluded to some of them, but when I talk to you, why do you want to go on a girls' trip? You had some things, and we actually found some articles on this as well. Why it seems that women really need girls' trips in their lives.
Well, I would say in my case, and Jill and Eileen, we were all stay-at-home moms, so we don't have a lot of interaction. We don't get that
Adult
opportunity.
human
Yeah, women that work outside of the home, they have at least some adult interaction. I'm not saying they need girls' trips less, because they still need girls' trips, but
it's a different reason.
It is a different. It's different. So when you're a stay-at-home mom, you need that adult interaction. And yes, you have your husband, and I'm not discounting husbands; they're amazing to talk to, but it's different when you're with your girlfriends. And now Jill and Eileen don't have any kids at home anymore. I'm the only one that has a couple of kids at home, and it's good to reconnect and be silly, and you just act a little bit differently when you're with your girlfriends than you do with your husband. It's just true.
Yeah, and so most of it's you need a break from your family.
Yeah.
To rejuvenate and
Yes.
get that.
I mean, I would say, would you say?
Oh, you come back rejuvenated most of the
Right.
time.
Yeah, I was going to say it's this thing where you go away and you come back going, I got this. Like, I got this mom thing. I got this wife thing. Maybe, I got this work thing. Like, you're just rejuvenated. And you and I take plenty of trips together too. Now, if it was a situation where you had to choose one or the other, a trip with your husband or a trip with your girlfriends, if that's all you could afford, I definitely think you should be picking the trip with your husband 100%.
Oh, I would hope so.
100%. But if you can afford to do both, and they don't have to be as expensive girls' trips, right? They can be just, stay in a local hotel.
Yeah, someone did that in our friend group. They had a girls' trip, and they just stayed at a local hotel one night.
It can be for one night, and you go shopping the next day.
Just hanging out.
It doesn't have to be anything grand.
Right. Another thing that we read was it's great to reconnect with your friends, which we kind of alluded to.
Right.
Because you don't see Jill and Eileen only once a year.
It's true. So that's even a different situation than maybe most people. And I don't see them except for once a year. And I trust them 100%. I can tell them anything. Where, you know what I mean? Where sometimes with...
if you have a friend close by, maybe you can't, right?
Yeah, maybe...
they see you day to day.
They see you day to day. Maybe you want to vent something and you're like, oh, but, I would feel uncomfortable with them hearing this about this person or that person or whatever, or even my kids. And so Jill and Eileen and I have this, this trust, this confidential, vault that we have going on.
I'll see if I can pay them to get some information out of that trust.
Everything I've told them, I've told you.
Yes,
so,
I know you have.
Yeah.
So, this reminds me a little bit. I was on a business trip once, and these two flight attendants who were retiring soon, once a year, these two flight attendants would go on a girls' trip together. And they worked together a couple times, but once a year they would just get back together and fly anywhere in the world because they were flight attendants. They could,
right?
And they just went for 2 or 3 days anywhere in the world,
right?
And I asked them, what's the deal with this? It says it just gives us a chance to pretend like we were 20 again,
right?
To pretend like our life is this glamorous life, even though it might not be at the time. And they said it's helped us with our marriages and raising our kids and all this. I thought it was fascinating.
And one thing that I want to put out there, I don't know if we're going to talk about this in the next section, but I'm going to put this out there right now. Jill and Eileen and I, there is no husband bashing going on whatsoever. So,
I appreciate that.
Well, if anything, I think we help each other with our marriages, if that makes any sense. Like, we might say, oh, we're having trouble with this. And then we say, oh, you could do this. Like, we are rooting for each other. We don't bash at all. So I think sometimes with girls, they tend to get together and they want to slam husbands. I am not that girl.
And
I won't do that.
Well, all that does is that just causes resentment, right?
Right.
From your husband as well, if he hears anything. Because believe it or not, things things leak out of these girls'
Right.
trips.
In fact, I don't know if I told you this on our girls' trip. I was talking to Eileen and Jill about something else about you, and Eileen said, Paige, about you, and Eileen said, Paige, it sounds like Darren is the perfect husband.
That is right. That's what I like to hear.
And I said,
bonus points, Jill.
That was Eileen that said that. Eileen.
Yeah, bonus points.
And I said, well, he definitely is not perfect, but he is a fantastic husband. Of course, we all have our moments. But yes, so that tells you how well I talk about you to them.
I appreciate that, man.
Yeah.
All right, let's go on. The other purposes of girls' trips that we saw were some quality time with dad, maybe, without mom around.
Yes, I think that that's a huge thing.
You know, I have noticed a difference. When you're gone and I just have the kids behave differently.
Yeah, how so?
I don't think, because I'm not as cuddly as you are.
Right.
So before, I've seen the kids where they may want sympathy with the little sad face, and I'm like, suck it up, right?
Right.
And so they know that about me, so I don't get the sad face or the whiny. It doesn't happen.
So is that why I get texts from them saying, when are you going to be home?
Yeah, probably. But no, it's also good to have that time with them. I think it's really important to show the kids that, you know, dad's involved too. Dad makes decisions with mom. And,
right.
You know, because most of the time you're the one dealing with the day-to-day
right.
things.
And that dad can take care of this stuff. Like, it's
absolutely.
Right. And no, I think that it's a great time for, even before I married you and my first husband, you know, I would go on these trips, and I think it was a great bonding time for him and the kids. And it's great for men to see all the little things that we do. I mean, like, even when I left, even though you're very involved, I'm still doing the day-to-day things with the kids and the picking up and the dropping off. Right, because you're working. I want you to work. That's a good thing.
You do.
And when I left, you said, I need you to put everything on the calendar. And I was like, well, everything is on the calendar. And I'm like, oh, man.
No, it was not.
Yeah, it took me like 45 minutes to put everything on the calendar.
I have to live by the calendar.
Right.
Because I got meetings throughout the day. I had to juggle. I'm picking up kids in. I can't be on a phone call then, or, you know, whatever it is.
And I also want to make sure that girls, if you work it out that you go on a girls' trip, be very, very grateful to your husbands that they, you know, took care of things at home. I'm not going to say allowed you to go or let you go, because that's not the right wording, but that they supported you in going and that they took care of things at home. So make sure you're very grateful and complimentary of that.
Even if the house isn't exactly the way you
right.
want it.
As long as everyone's alive and...
Sometimes that's all we can do. Believe me, sometimes that's all we can do.
So what else? Okay, so...
Oh, and you also said, you know, we miss you when you're gone, right? For lots of reasons.
Yes.
The little things that you do all day, and just having you in the house. Parenting alone can be difficult, right?
It
Even
can.
if it's for a short period of time.
Yeah. So yeah, you guys miss me and I miss you, and that gives you a time to miss each other.
Which increases your gratitude towards each other.
It does. And you know what? In a blended family, things are a little more challenging than in a normal family. I think it's even more important to get away and just be with your friends and have a little girls' trip, because there are more challenges and there is more stress.
Yeah, there will be. Okay, let's talk about poor old dad being left behind.
Oh, well, there's emotions around girls' trips. So should we talk about...
Well, let's talk first about the perception of girls' trips.
Oh, yeah.
And then we'll talk about my first reaction.
Okay.
So I travel a lot for work, and I see these packs of women going around on their girls' trips, and it's like, holy cow, where's the chaperone?
Right, because they're drinking and they're cursing, right? And they're just being
they're
loud
picking
and
up on guys and whistling at guys. I'm like, what is going on? And then so when we were dating, he says, yeah, I go on annual girls' trips. I'm thinking, okay, I trust you, but this is what I've seen.
Yeah, so when we were dating, and I said to you, just FYI, I go on girls' trips, sometimes with my mom and my sisters. And
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Your mom and sister are a little bit older.
And sometimes
and very reserved. I
yes,
met them already.
Yes, yeah. Wild night might be getting a milkshake. So,
Might.
but
After 8.
yeah.
Right.
But yeah, and then I said, and I also go on an annual girls trip with my friends. Right. And you were like, okay, yeah, that's fine. I didn't know that inside.
I had no idea what that actually meant.
Yeah, and I think that you were maybe thinking, oh, well, after we get married, maybe she won't. I don't know what you were thinking.
No, I wasn't thinking that. I thought you'd go, but I thought it would be more low-key than it ended up being. Because you guys were going on trips we really couldn't afford.
No, we absolutely couldn't afford.
So, my ego took a little dent, and I went, well, maybe I wanted to take her to Jamaica someday. But
you still can.
Nah. The magic's gone.
Have you gotten through that?
Yeah, I've gotten through that.
Okay.
But at the beginning, it was tough, right? Because just because it wasn't something I could give to you, right? I wanted to take you to some of these places, and no, I wasn't having that opportunity. You were going first,
right?
But I got over that. Another thing that was hard was I saw these women on girls' trips in airports and at restaurants going, holy cow, what is going on? No, I trusted you, but I didn't trust all the guys that were going to be around you.
Yes,
because I'm a very jealous man.
Lots of guys coming after us.
Well, yeah, I can imagine there would be.
Oh my goodness, so funny.
Yeah, sometimes you're naive that way.
I'm flattered that you think that there are guys that are, after us on our girls' trips, but we are.
Think that.
We are grandmas. We are,
But you
it's
weren't
funny.
8 years ago.
No, but I mean, we're not young spring chickens, that's for sure. But
I think you are.
But yeah, so I would say the first couple of girls' trips I went on,
were hard for me.
It was hard.
I did my best to try and support you and be happy for you, but inside I was not happy.
And outside, you didn't.
I tried.
You didn't hide it too great.
I'm not very good at
hiding
my emotions.
In fact, you're not very good at hiding your emotions.
But I was trying really hard.
You were trying really hard, and it kind of made me a little upset. So the first couple girls' trips that I went on, we always left on not the greatest terms.
Which is not a good thing to leave.
It's not, because I always felt you were making me feel guilty for leaving, and I was like, but this was the deal, right?
I can't make you feel guilty, babe. That's just
my goodness. Whatever. But yeah, so I was feeling, I told you I was going to go on these girls' trips. You said it was okay, and now you're acting like it's not. And so the first couple, I think you would always send me like a chocolate basket to our hotel room.
I did, but one of the reasons I sent you, because the first couple of years you got sick.
I don't know if it was the first couple, but there was one when we went to Arizona. I was really sick.
Yeah, I think that was your first one. You were like deathly ill.
I was really sick.
I'm not there to take care of you.
Yep.
Right, we'd only been married 6 months at that time.
Yeah, that's
right. So
right.
I was like, what do I do
here? Yeah.
First girls trip, I don't know what the limitations are. I said, forget the limitations. I sent a basket.
No, that was very sweet. So. But yeah, so the first couple were a little challenging. So if you guys out there are listening,
those are natural feelings.
Those are natural feelings, and you women, I would say don't give up on the girls' trip. If your husband's having a hard time with it, try and be...
You have to be somewhat understanding and talk them through it.
Yeah, be understanding, but also keep letting them know how important you think it is. And it might not have to be annually for everybody. No. But for Jill and Eileen and I, because it's the only time we get to see each other all year, we do it annually.
Now, what's another thing do you think that you could do to help see the benefit of, for your spouse that's at home, the benefit of you going on a girls' trip?
Well, I think, like you said, when I come home and I'm rejuvenated and I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm ready to go. And
yeah, and I've seen that, right? And I've even noticed one thing that I appreciate, even if the house isn't perfect like the way that you want it, you haven't said anything. Instead, you found the things that I was able to accomplish with the kids. It might not have been everything that you had hoped for, but you still acknowledged that, which said, hey, you accepted my help, right? Because I still have everything I was doing before still.
Yeah.
So, that meant a lot to me. That says, all right, this makes sense for her to go on these things, right?
Well, and I think it's very important that girls lower their expectations of when you're gone. Don't have expectations that the house is going to be perfect when you get home. That's not, because then you're going to walk in the door and you're going to go, I can't believe that I'm coming home to this. Don't do that. I did that. So I did that a couple times with my first husband. I would come home and the house would be a wreck. And I was just like, are you kidding me? I just came home and now I've got to deal with this. And you know what? His standards for a clean house were not mine. I'm putting that on myself and I was putting that on him. And he had a great time with the kids and they were happy and they...
Yeah, no one was killed.
Exactly. And so you need to go, you know what? If I'm going to go off on my girls' trip, I might come back to a dirty house. And you know what? That's okay. That's okay. Tomorrow I can clean it. No big deal. Or else you're not going to get that support that you need from your spouse.
And for you guys, do your best. Simple, small things that you know your wife would appreciate. Try and do your best. She'll come back in a happier mood.
It's true.
As long as the kids are all still breathing, that's great. But if the house is picked up, that's even better, and it doesn't take that long.
You know what? And all you have to do is say, 10 minutes before mom gets home, hey, everybody, let's go. Let's clean it. Let's pick up. And it doesn't take very long. And yeah, this last trip, the bedroom was perfect. The house was perfect. I think you'd bought me flowers. You'd done.
Well, of course, I'm in the groove now.
You went above and beyond, and it was great. It was great. So yes, be supportive of both, right? If you're the one staying at home, be supportive of the one leaving. Another good thing that you do is you don't expect me to talk to you 10 times a day. Because I'm on my girls' trip.
Yeah.
And
I do want to talk to you and see how things are going at least once a day.
Yeah.
Just like when I'm on a business trip.
Right.
It's the same sort of thing.
I'm just, me, I just like when we go on vacation, I'm a pro at disconnecting. And if I'm on a girls' trip, I want to disconnect from home. I don't want to think about, the kids in school and their homework. Like, to me, I disconnect.
So when we talk at night on your girls' trip, I want to find out. I don't tell you what's going on at home.
Right, unless I ask. Yep.
What's going on with you. And even when you ask, I said, don't worry about it.
Right. And that's, right. I appreciate that so much because, I'm trying to be in this moment over here. And I
want to be part of that moment, so I want you to tell me about it.
Right. And I did. I sent you pictures, I would text you.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. What other tips do you think we can give to families? I mean, I would say husbands, support your wives. I think it's a really important thing to let them go.
Absolutely. I would also say if your wife is just doing girls' trips and not trips with you alone, you guys need to figure that out. Oh, no,
that's not good.
That's not good.
That's not good.
You need to have that time. Go back and listen to our podcast on spending time alone together.
Yep.
It's extremely important. I would just add that one thing. And just remember that you're in this to help each other out.
Right.
That's your main goal, is to help each other through this life and to be happy.
And if you can't find time to go on a girls' trip or the money or whatever it is, at least go to lunch with your girlfriends once in a while. Or, make that time for a girlfriend time, whether it's an evening, once every couple months, but find that time and hopefully, your husbands will support you in that. If it's not a weekend, then just do a lunch, a dinner.
An afternoon, whatever it is.
Yeah.
All right, cool. For our lemonade moment of the week, it's a sad moment, but some goodness in it.
Yeah, I went back to Utah after being gone for only 10 days because my mom wanted to bury my dad's ashes in Junction, Utah, which none of you will know where Junction, Utah is. I don't even know that you can find it on a map. But
probably not. I think it's just it's a bump in the road somewhere.
Yeah, it's a tiny little nothing of a town. But my
About
mom...
2.5 hours away from
Spanish Fork.
Yeah, it's in the middle of nowhere.
But that's where my mom wanted to put him to rest, in a cemetery with some of her family members. So we went out there. It was all my siblings. We were all there. And it was really hard, but it was.
Yeah, you were actually very surprised at how difficult it was to go over that whole thing again about missing your dad.
Yes, it was. I thought I was in control, and then all of a sudden I wasn't. When we started burying the ashes, I kind of lost it. So yeah, it was kind of like doing it all over again. Not a fan of doing that twice.
Yeah.
But I got to spend some really good quality time with my siblings and my mom and my aunt and my grandbabies. So
So the lemonade of this week was you got to really reconnect with your siblings and our grandbabies. I missed out on it.
you did.
Yeah, I missed out on the grandbabies, but I got lots of cute videos from Grandma and Emma and Zoe, so that was well worth it.
Oh, they're so adorable. If you like today's episode,
Give us 5 stars on iTunes, Spotify, Google.
and head to Facebook and like us,
And check out our blog at where'sthelemonade.org.
where you can leave questions and comments.
But most of all,
Go out and make some lemonade.
you betcha, baby.
On our next episode,
We're going to talk more about the marriage class that Paige took and about being positive in your marriage.